Okay, so next up we've got Resource Mining, ASX code RMI, a market cap of 16 million. Resource Mining is an independent Australian minerals company advancing a portfolio of prospective exploration projects focused on the definition of battery minerals in leading mining jurisdictions. Presenting for the company today is Resource Mining Independent Non-Executive Director, Trevor Matthews. Trevor, welcome. Please take it away.
Thanks, Paul. Good to speak to everyone on this webinar, and thanks for the opportunity. So RMC is, relatively undervalued, we think. Market cap is mentioned of $16 million. We have a pretty tight register, top 20s up around 70%. So, we think as we start to progress into some pretty strong news flow, which I'll cover later on in the presentation, that we should see the share price start to appreciate pretty quickly. Next slide. So we've got a good mix of skills on the board. We have a lot of African experience, a lot of experience in critical minerals, all the way through from exploration, feasibility studies, basically putting together all the financing and commercial arrangements and technical information to move through to, construction and commissioning and operations, right through the whole flow of activities that you have for mining companies. So a really strong team and a good mix of technical, commercial, finance and entrepreneurial skills. Next slide. Maybe not everybody's aware of the different quantities of the various critical minerals that go into, say, an electric vehicle, but the ones we're focusing on are the nickel, lithium, and we do have the opportunity to potentially discover cobalt in our African projects. So, pretty significant minerals in terms of the move towards a low carbon future. So, EVs are a key part of that strategy, and we can see the importance of these minerals in that strategy. So, next slide. So we are focused in two countries, Finland and Tanzania. So just starting with the Finland projects. Next slide. Finland is very much at the forefront in Europe on development of critical materials, particularly lithium, but it's also the biggest nickel producer in Europe. Neighbouring our project, and it's mentioned a few times on this slide, is the Calibre Lithium project, which is currently has a refinery in construction at Kokola, which is a nearby port, only about 60 kilometres away from Calibre. While we're talking about Calibre as one of our project's neighbours, their mining development, and that's all currently in construction and backed by Stillwater, which is just under 80% shareholder in the Calibre assets, with the Finland government actually owning 20% as well. So 40 operating mines, pretty strong mining jurisdiction. I think mentioned the largest nickel producer in Europe, ranks ninth in the Fraser survey, which has been mentioned previously. So we think this is a great jurisdiction for us to be operating in. Can be a little bit slow moving through your approvals and permitting processes, but absolutely, strong in terms of your tenure. We think, as is seen, you can get through your various permitting processes, from reservation permits, which are non-ground disturbing, to exploration permits, where you can commence doing drilling, trenching and any other surface work, through your mining approvals. And obviously that's borne out by the number of operating mines and the fact that we've got a development project, lithium development project, neighbouring us. The other key thing is being based in Europe. You've got, really strong support from the EU, There's a critical raw materials act and strategy that's being developed for Europe. They are absolutely focused on trying to build out their own supply chains within Europe. They're never going to get enough from within Europe, so they're going to have to go offshore to get all the raw materials they need. But Finland can be a key supplier, and the European Raw Materials Alliance is another body that does a lot of work in this area. And membership of that can get you facilitation for offtake, strategic partners, all the way through to financing and development assistance. So next slide. So our projects in Finland cover lithium. We have 2 lithium projects and 1 nickel project. Our lithium projects, Kola, which is on the inset map there, you can see is around about the centre and on the west side of Finland, neighbouring Kalaba's project, and not far from that, Kokkola port, where there's a lithium refinery being constructed right now. So no drilling has occurred on this. These tenements are very underexplored. But what we have found on the surface, while we can do the surface mapping, is some pretty significant results, which I'll cover in a minute. Herbakalio is similar, only a little bit of drilling by the Geological Survey, GDK, in Finland, government organisation that does really good work. And I'll talk a bit more about that. And Risikera, which already has a nickel resource on it, and has significant opportunities to expand that. But again, have to go through the approval processes to get on the ground with that project. So next slide. So covering Kola, as we've mentioned, or I've mentioned, just directly neighbouring to the south of the Calibre project. Bit of information about that and that refinery being developed at the port, which is quite close to obviously the Kola project as well. Our sampling that we've undertaken here has been fantastic. We've received assays of up to 5.26% lithium. Out of 68 samples taken, we had 52 that were assayed at more than 1% lithium and 27 at more than 2%. So we think, based on the surface work that we're doing, we have a great opportunity to be successful once we get our exploration permits in place, which we expect to receive the first of those. We've got 2 permits in place. So these are areas within the reservation permit, because you want to target where you think your best exploration results are going to be achieved. So we have 1 permit we expect to get this year. I know not long to go now, but we're expecting it this quarter, and also a 2nd permit in the next quarter. Once we've got that, we can get on the ground. It's winter up there at the moment, preferable to be drilling during the warmer months, and so we'll map out our programs and commence drilling probably late first quarter into second quarter next year. Next slide. Herbakalio lithium, again, some great surface work, but interestingly, some historical drilling on this project by GTK again, the Finnish government geological survey, has intersected 5 metres at 2.3% lithium and 2 metres at 1.33% lithium. Very limited drilling. Wasn't really, not really, was never followed up, because this was undertaken long before lithium became of so much interest now as part of the battery material supply chain. So we've done some recent rock chip sampling, while again we move towards an exploration permit application that we're lodging at the moment. And again, some great results, up around 4.7% lithium, 4.26, and you can read them on that slide. So Herbakalio again represents a really great opportunity for us to achieve some exploration success in Finland. Next slide. Risikera, I've mentioned. This will be a little bit more difficult to get on the ground here. It's right up in the north. It's actually an area that's also occupied by the indigenous Sumi people. So getting approvals to get on the ground and drill. Obviously, that's been achieved before, so we're confident we'll get there, but it may take a little time to get on there. Lots of exploration potential, to actually start with a resource that meets JORC 2012 standards is great, and we sort of think the opportunities to develop a nickel project here over the longer term provide a lot of option value for our shareholders. Next slide. Just moving on to Tanzania. Next slide. So Tanzania's had some difficult sort of periods, but with a new president in place in April 2021. Prior to that, there's a lack of investment, probably a bit more inward focus rather than outward focus in the country. But now we're seeing, international investment being encouraged, and miners are coming back in. I think when you see companies like BHP coming back into Tanzania after being absent for well over a decade, that's always a good sign. We have a pretty strong Tanzanian-based board, particularly with our chairman, Asimwe, being Tanzanian-born, although residing in Australia now. So he has a lot of Tanzanian and African experience, along with some of the other board members as well, or all of the rest of the board members, to be frank. So we're in a really good prospective area on the west side of Tanzania, really underexplored, but seen as being a pretty important nickel exploration area from a global sort of point of view. Next slide. So we have three general areas that we're working off. There's three projects in the south that you can see on that inset map, Liparamba, Katai and Mbinga. We have Kabanga North project, which is adjacent to the Kabanga Nickel project, which BHP's recently invested in, and the Kabalagulu project. So they're spread across the western side from north to south. Like I say, a pretty important sort of nickel province, and these represent some really prospective projects. Next slide. So you can see that there's some pretty good opportunities in terms of investment highlights that we're working on. I think our lithium projects represent some really fantastic opportunities in Finland, and we will start to get on the ground and be able to drill and announce results as we go. We have some great Tanzanian projects which offer potential for elephant-style sort of deposits. As we get into these programs, we'll have some pretty good news flow. And we think, the areas that we're operating in and the type of projects we have are of significant value and will be beneficial in creating value for RMC shareholders. So with that, I'll pass back to Paul.
That's a great lot to get through there, Trevor. You did a fantastic job. Well done.
Thank
All right,
you.
I'm going to put you on the spot now. In what order of importance would you rank the company's key projects?
I think as we've done more work in Finland, we see obviously the benefits of locational advantages too with Finland in Europe, and Europe's focus on critical mineral supply chains. We think the lithium projects, both Kola and Hervakkalio, offer some really great opportunities. With Kola, being the first to get exploration permits where we can get on the ground, we rank that obviously probably number one, followed closely by Hervakkalio, and particularly with Hervakkalio's historic drilling results as well. So it's not to say we don't see a lot of opportunity in Tanzania as well, but it's very much early stage there, and nickel sulfides exploration can be a little bit more difficult than a lot of other sort of minerals. So we still feel that we've got some excellent ground, some early work done by BHP and others that sort of indicates that we're in the right area, and we just need to work our way through the programs in Tanzania as well. But definitely Finland lithium, would probably rate the highest for us now.
Oh, gotcha. So From a jurisdictional perspective, how does Tanzania actually stack up? What's the relationship with like the government?
As I mentioned, I think the Tanzanian government now is very pro investment and bringing in, international miners and investment. It's only got limited capabilities itself to be developing or exploring and developing and spending the money that you need to spend on these projects. So we think as a jurisdiction, it's improved a lot over the last few years. And we think, given the early stage exploration that we're in, we think the opportunities, though, are there. We have a project next to the Kabanga nickel project. We're actually just watching what everybody else is doing and then sort of working out where we want to drill holes. We have neighbours currently exploring around that area. So, but I've done a lot of work in Tanzania myself since 2017. So, I think it is, and of course I've mentioned Asimwe's involvement in Tanzania and his connections and network as well. So we think we're in a good space and with some good opportunities.
Yeah, fantastic. Has there been much in the way of M&A around activity around the Tanzanian lithium rare earth players? And you mentioned one player. Who are the largest players in Tanzania?
Look, the gold miners have probably been the biggest. In the critical minerals, probably Kabanga is rated as a globally significant nickel resource. As I mentioned, BHP's coming in and invested, I think, up to $100 million committed. So, that's a pretty good indicator. I think it's fair to say that, some of the other majors are watching what the juniors are up to and looking at maybe ways that they can partner in and earn their way into, opportunities to put their foot on other, assets that they see are of value. So, we see that in the nickel space, and I think lithium, I'm not so much across in Tanzania, but I know there are lithium projects there. But I think in the nickel space, we see, some really good opportunities for co-investment and support.
Yeah, gotcha. Let's go back to Finland. Given the recent positive results from the assays at the Hirakavello project in Finland, you're now preparing an exploration permit. When can we expect submission and approval?
Yeah, look, there's no set time frame for them, and they can take 6 to 9 months, and that to move from a reservation permit to an exploration permit. So hopefully we'll be able to get through that reasonably quickly. They have a process where you can, they actually hear objections and those sorts of things during the permitting phase, so which tends to slow things down a little bit. But once you're there, your tenure's very secure. It's a really safe mining jurisdiction. I think you just need to be a little bit patient, with the Finland projects to, let us follow the procedure and get access and then move the projects along. But, we're nearly there with Kola, so we'll be able to get on the ground and start doing work. And I think we'll be able to get on the ground with Herbakaleo next year, but probably more second half.
Trevor, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on today. Many thanks. Love to get you on in the sometime in the new year. You have a great weekend.
Right. Thanks, Paul. Thanks, everyone.